Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cosmic Owl Astrology with Louise Edington and Professional Aquarian with Kathy Beale, but on both our channels. And I am Louise Edington, the Cosmic Owl. I offer several things, but the only thing I'm going to mention this week is that next week on the 13th, I am doing a free webinar for Kepler College, which is a kind of a big deal, really. So I'm doing a free webinar on series. So I hope some of you will come along and be with me live. It's actually on the day of my solar return, so it's kind of a birthday party too. And but if you register, you also get the recording and things. And so I hope you'll support me by registering for the webinar. Kathy.
Hey, I'm Kathy Beale. My channel is Professional Aquarian. My website's empowermentunlimited.net. And I actually have a few things I want to mention. First off, I have an analysis of the solstice chart on my Patreon, patreon.com/Kathy Beale, which is available at the levels starting $5 and up. Lots of things for the solstice. Part of a Solstice Gateway Summit that my friend Jill M. Jackson has organized. It is free. It goes on from, I think, the 14th to the 22nd. Every day there are 2 half-hour recordings that you'll have access to, so you don't have to watch them live. Again, it's free. There's a link for signing up on my website, empowermentunlimited.net, and I'll put it in my description box. And Psychic Annette Dion and I are having a solstice party on the 22nd. There is a $5 discount if you sign up by December 8th. There's also a link for that. And finally, my new online shop with my witchy and whimsy merchandise. It has a 10% off through December 10th. And that's 7centnickel.com. And if you go to my YouTube channel, below the video, it'll have the YouTube store and it'll show what's there. Okay, end of commercials.
And I will mention one other thing, because talking of like you and Annette having the Christmas party, I'm doing one with Dabney Lawless and Celeste Brooks. We're live streaming on all our channels and everywhere on December the 11th. So you'll find us on this channel, my channel, Cosmic Owl Astrology, on Lawless Astrology and Celeste Brooks channel. Can't remember what that is. So it's that time of year. We all have parties. Anyway, here we are. So apparently some of you are getting overwhelmed with the lists of transits, but if you like the lists of transits, because some people do as well, as we know, you can't please all of the people all of the time. We did a big one 2 weeks ago that listed right up to the solstice. So what we're just going to talk about this week astrologically is I'm just going to look at the chart, where we're at as we... Oh,
That's your chart.
Sorry, that's my solar return. That's not my natal chart, so I'm not sharing that. So this is just where we are right now. So I'm not going to keep moving the chart, but I will mention a few things. So we've talked a lot about the water grand trine. It was activated by Mars and the Sun and Venus, and it's being activated on and off by Black Moon Lilith, which I meant to take out. So I'll take that one out. We don't need a very cluttered chart for these. But we're getting the last blast of the water grand trine this week because Mercury is now direct and activating the water grand trine to Jupiter and Saturn again. And, Saturn is direct and Jupiter's retrograde, so they're pulling apart too. But so this is, again, really tide-turning energy. And, of course, it's the third time that Mercury has been in this spot, which is also kind of a big thing. And then Mercury will come up and oppose Uranus again for the third time. So we're getting a lot of kind of finishings of cycles and repeating patterns. We're also in major Sagittarius season because Mercury will then move into Sagittarius. Let me just move Mercury into Sag because that gives you the full picture. And this is happening on the day that I live stream with Dabney Lawless and Celeste. And then after that, we have this massive Sagittarius new moon on December the 19th that is on the galactic center. And I'll be doing a separate video talking about what that all means. But all of this is big tide turning energy. But by then as well, Neptune is stationing direct this coming week as we record this. And both Saturn and Neptune are now finishing up their journey in Pisces after they retrograded back in, and both will move into Aries and meet early next year at 0 Aries, the world point. There's lots of other things I could talk about, but Kathy, do you want to kind of add to that?
Well, what I will add is that we're recording this the day after the Gemini full moon, which was at 13 degrees Gemini,
Oh,
13 degrees Sagittarius. And it was in a really tense, it was in a crisscross relationship with the nodes of the moon, something called a grand cross. And a couple of things about this. This is doorway. Choice point, turning point energy. It really sets off the U.S. chart, which I talked about a lot in my solo political We the People video from last week, if you really want details into that. But so this has a lot to do with information flow, where we get it, what we're talking about, things that go through the air, which will be a feature of some of the news items. And this particular moment echoes June of 2016, when there was a similar Grand Cross in mutable signs, which is when Brexit happened, and when there was this kind of weird, mysterious, never quite explained meeting in Trump Tower involving Russian adoptions and Russian agents. So, you know, there's whatever's going on now has roots way back, and definitely we've been repeatedly saying that events from March were going to be really important. Saturn and Neptune are hanging out where they were then, and there are other things that are setting that off. And we'll show you in a minute how that's been playing out in the news. But the bottom line is pretty much everything you see in the news these days is monumental, and it's that way for a reason, because many, many things are hitting a point of such revelation and such overt corruption and disruption and shockingness that things must shift in a different direction.
And just to talk about the full moon a little bit more, like Kathy did, you know, anything square the nodes is a turning point. Having a full moon square the nodes makes it a bigger turning point. But this is also, because it's a full moon, this is the halfway point between the last eclipses at the end of September, beginning of October, and then moving us towards the next eclipses in the spring of 2026, when the sun squares the nodes, as it is on that full moon. We are at what's called the bendings or the moon wobble, and this is all about changing, like mutable signs. Everything's changing, everything. Changed perceptions, changed viewpoints, and we're going to talk about that a lot in the news. People, you know, suddenly changing, like who they're voting for or regretting their votes, things like that. So everything's playing out that we've been talking about for over a year, basically. Yes.
Have heart, people. And we're moving into Jupiter-ruled Sagittarius time, which is believe, just believe. Keep the optimism, keep the faith.
Or if you don't, I've got enough for you, because because all this Sagittarius energy, once Mercury gets in there as well, it's all sitting on all my Sagittarius energy, which is huge. So. Anyway, so we're going to also go through the news, and you know, we're probably going to have a chat about a couple of bits as we go through as well. So,
and again, this is not exhaustive, although it is exhausting, and I'm picking. This is curated, all right, and I've tried to pick, for the most part, developments that play out things and illustrate the astrology that we've been talking about. So the first big one is
Can I just say something on that?
Go ahead.
Because somebody did comment that when it's curated, that doesn't mean only proving the bits that are right. It just means the most outstanding examples, I would say, because everything, all of the news is playing out what we.
Oh yeah, you want me to talk for 2 hours? Happy to do that.
Yeah.
I've just picked out the stuff that is screaming the keywords. Screaming the keywords. All right.
Mhm.
March 2025 influences resurfacing. Well, that's the whole Signalgate mess. The
Oof.
Department of Defense Inspector General's report has come out about war plans being put in an unsecured chat that created a risk to operational security. There's the
Mhm.
Scorpio part that could have resulted in failed U.S. mission objectives and potential harm to U.S. pilots. Pilots, Mercury, moving through the air, and he failed to preserve the messages. That's also the um, Mercury
Mhm.
part of it. So there's that. Uh, the Grand Water Trine and U.S. action on government action on waters. The
Mhm.
Colombian president has called for The Hague to investigate Trump and Hegseth for the Caribbean murders. The Republican chairs of the Senate and House Armed Services Committee have been requiring information about the strikes on the boats that the administration says are drug boats, but they're civilians. So Admiral Bradley, who was in charge of that area, appeared before the Senate Intelligence Committee yesterday and said there was no kill all order, that they just did these strikes and just kept going.
Mhm.
And the Wall Street Journal has reported that. Do you remember that there was an admiral who announced his resignation on October 12th?
Mhm.
Admiral Halsey. Hegseth forced him to resign over the drug boat strikes because Halsey was telling him they were illegal. So, anything about the astrology in that you?
Nope, you covered all the
I've
things in
covered
that
it. All
one, I
right.
think so. Hmm.
There is a bipartisan war powers resolution demanding no war with Venezuela. Rand Paul has joined Chuck Schumer, Tim Kaine, and Adam Schiff as co-sponsors.
Mm. Another example of people coming together on
Come
the
together.
things they agree on. We've talked about that a lot too. So, yeah.
Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, who, by the way, is not an official agent of the United States,
Nope.
have presented Russia with a peace plan that would recognize all parts of the Ukraine that Russia took as now belonging to Russia.
I think Russia actually presented them with the peace plan personally, but
Oh, they did that in Florida, and then it was translated from Russian into English. But now they've gone there. But now the new part of it is that the U.S. will let Russia keep what it has, and they've been setting up deals with Trump and his insiders for resources. That's Uranus in uh, Taurus acting there, trading Ukrainian land for business opportunities for Trump's network. Um, so the EU has said, you do this and we're going to retaliate by calling in your debt. Uranus in Taurus is trining the U.S. Um, Pluto in Capricorn in its house of resources. So that would be a real disruption if they do that. Um, there's been a leaked phone conversation with Emmanuel Macron telling Zelensky not to trust the U.S. that has Mercury and Scorpio all over it.
and
Trump, yep.
Europe is kind of doing a lot of that. Really, I'm not going to go through them because I know we can't talk
No,
about
he's right.
everything. Hmm.
Drones menaced Zelensky's
Hmm.
aircraft as he was flying into Ireland yesterday. So there was an
Oh,
assassination attempt that is
wow.
believed to be by, let's see, who had an agent at that meeting in Trump Tower in 2016.
Mm.
And the Pentagon has cut off communications with the German Ministry of Defense.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, so now moving more into the immigration enforcement area of the news. ICE has now moved into New York City, Minneapolis, and New Orleans. New Yorkers immediately responded by blocking parking lot exits. I think that's a hysterical playing out of the astrology of
Hmm.
we're just gonna,
Of cars, yeah.
yeah, cars,
Mercury.
you can't drive your car. We're gonna stop you.
And a
Uh,
Gemini full moon too. Yeah.
Christy Nome has confirmed that she was the one who approved defying the order that in March that March coming up again. Christy Nome has confirmed that she's the one who said we're not going to turn the planes around after there was an order to do
Mm.
that for the deportations. Now, of course, Gemini in my third house, my sibling text thread is going off like crazy. Um, Trump has fired 8 immigration judges in New York City to, quote, expedite, close quote, deportations. The administration is going to withhold SNAP benefits from Democrat-led states unless they provide information about the recipients, the Associated Press is reporting. The administration has halted all immigration cases, including naturalization ceremonies, for nationals from 19 countries. This is the Muslim travel ban coming back around. And Noam says this will expand to 30 countries and include business travelers. So we could just go through every keyword here. You got any you care to throw in?
Well, the keywords. There's the thing about Gemini, dual citizenship as well coming through. Mercury ruled Gemini. I can't remember who was talking about that, saying that they're going to stop people being able to have dual citizenship, which we have. So anyway, but
Dual
guess who else
citizenship.
has it? Melania and Barron.
And Barron. And okay, so a little more moving into information, the information area of all this. Netanyahu has asked Israel's president for a pardon. And Trump is saying he should get one.
I missed that one. I
Missed that one. Trump pardoned the former president of Honduras who'd been convicted of cocaine trafficking in the U.S. So if you're a civilian driving a boat in the Caribbean, you can be murdered, but
because if you're elected president, you can't do anything illegal, apparently. Sorry, sarcasm.
A new grand jury was convened to try to get Letitia James, and the second grand jury said, nope, not going to indict her. So that's twice.
That's Gemini twice. Gemini.
Trump has sanctioned 9 staff members of the International Criminal Court, 6 judges and the chief prosecutor among them, for pursuing investigations into U.S. and Israeli officials. All right, now information. Gemini. I'm sorry, Gemini's part of it, but also Mercury in Scorpio, heading toward its 3rd grand water trine. The New York Times has sued the Pentagon over its new reporting rules as violating the First Amendment. The General Accounting Office, astonishingly, has opened an investigation into the FHFA chief Bill Pulte because he has referred multiple Democrats to the DOJ for alleged mortgage fraud and used their private info from the agency to make the referrals. House Judiciary Committee has issued a subpoena to Jack Smith to testify behind closed doors. He said he would do it voluntarily if they made it public. They said, nope, we'll subpoena you, got to be behind closed doors. December 17th. Watch that date.
Ooh, 2 days before the new moon. Ooh.
And the third, okay, a few more things. The Third Circuit has affirmed the disqualification of Alina Habba as the acting U.S. attorney in New Jersey for being wrongfully appointed. 2 more areas. Here's the big one, then we have a minor one. The minor one will segue into something we're going to talk about. The big one is what's going on with the files. Well, using a Freedom of Information Act request, a Bloomberg reporter got a secret email showing that Trump paid more than $800,000 for 1,000 FBI agents to remove his name from the files.
Of our money.
Every word is a keyword, astrologically. Suit has been filed in Palm Beach County, Florida, alleging a 10-year-long Epstein-style trafficking and coercion venture by Trump, Musk, Bill Gates, federal agencies, and others involving coercion, retaliation, misappropriation of intellectual property, not sure how that fits in, grooming, coordinated sexual assaults, murder attempts, and there's also a claim that the plaintiff had a baby because of all this, and they took the child from her, so she wants custody back.
Oh my God, I didn't hear that. Oh yes, I did read that. Yeah.
Seeking more than $310 million in compensatory damages. The Virginia Islands has sued J.P. Morgan over its part in financing Epstein's operations. The House Oversight Committee has received files, Mercury, Gemini, from
Mm-hmm.
J.P. Morgan, Deutsche Bank. Who worked at Deutsche Bank? Justice Kennedy's son.
Oh,
And the U.S. Virgin Islands. And the Dems on the House Oversight Committee have released another trove of documents, these including photos and videos of Epstein's Island.
mm.
This is all Scorpio stuff. And then the
With more
final,
to come.
more to come, lots more to come. None
Mm,
of this is going away. It's just getting worse and worse and
mm,
worse. Note the multiple sources, okay? So
mm.
supposedly the DOJ and the FBI are supposed to release probably heavily redacted files by December 19th, but look at all these other sources of information that are pulling these people into it.
Mhm.
Be of
Mhm.
good cheer. Final topic, somebody's health. Somebody's been falling asleep in televised cabinet meetings.
Yes.
And my favorite, the White House physician says Trump had a preventative MRI
Which
on
is
his
not a
heart,
thing.
and
Mm.
abdomen, and came out perfectly normal. And the ex-White House cardiologist says there's no such thing as a
Oh,
preventative
sorry.
cardiac
Yeah.
MRI. No, no, no.
Yeah.
And as someone who's had cardiac MRIs, trust me, you don't have them unless they think there's something going on in there.
No, you do not. Oh.
So, the final thing I will leave you with is
Mm.
two sources for tracking the news in a way that you're going to understand it. One of them is an attorney and a who's an attorney historian in New Orleans named Rubia Garcia II, and
Oh,
she posts on Facebook 24 items in 24 hours, and she just has she distills this stuff down into 3 lines, 24 things, and it'll just
she does.
it's stunning.
Mm.
And the other is Ann P. Mitchell, who's an attorney. She posts on Facebook. She has a Substack called Notes from the Front. She explains what's going on with the lawsuits in a way that will take you off the edge.
She does. She also lectures everybody a lot. So I'm like, so she blocked me because I said stop lecturing us. Anyway. But yeah, what was I going to say? I'd like to mention polling and things, not because I trust polling, but I just wanted to mention, because of the mutable grand crosses, changed viewpoints, changed this and that and the other, and young men went for Trump in huge numbers in the last election, and they're all leaving the fold, shall we say, and regretting their vote and changing their perception. So, and Latinos too, but young men particularly, it was a big problem in the last election because they all kind of got taken in by this, stuff, and they are switching. So that's such a mutable grand cross energy. So,
And what happened in Tennessee in the special election
mm,
also plays that out, because
hmm
a district that went for Trump by 22 points last year, the Republican contender was declared the winner with only a 6-point margin. And there are already many calls for recounts there. But
oh,
for
oh,
Louise's point of people changing, having different viewpoints, that
yeah,
illustrates it greatly as well.
yeah, it does. Yeah, and it illustrates a lot about what I've been talking about that centaur nessus over time being activated over and over and over. That in Pisces, that's like seeing the toxicity and the poisons and just saying, the buck stops here, we've had enough. So, all the things.
All the things.
Yeah, so which chart first then?
I'll let you choose.
Oh, let's choose the man of the moment, then go to the one whose
He who
health
shall
is
not be named.
challenged. Yes. So, Hegseth. And we actually even have a time for Hegseth, which is AA rated. So, I'll let you have a go first. But, well, can I?
Please go right ahead.
The South Node is right on the mutable Grand Cross. Let me put the full moon around the transits. I'll just get back to now and put the full moon around. But the full moon is right hitting him. So the moon is on his descendant pretty much and close to his sun. The sun is on his ascendant on the full moon, and it was square the nodes as we just talked about, and all about information, and Mercury ruled. But the south node is on his Mars, and Mercury is on his Uranus in his 12th house, revealing secrets. So this full moon hit him like a bag of hammers, is what I would say to start with.
Let me add to that, please. The
Mm-hmm.
ninth house, foreign dealings, the government,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really so how he used things, and he was pretty uh, unemotional about it. Like, nope, nope, we're doing this. Well, look,
Mm-hmm.
this isn't. There was a lunar eclipse when the whole signal gate thing happened at 15
Mm-hmm.
degrees Virgo. So this is still in the ballpark of it, bringing it back around
Mm-hmm.
again for, gotta answer. What'd you do?
And I'll
And he's
add in as well, sorry, that Neptune is stationing direct on his natal moon, which is also kind of a big tide turning and water related thing in his third house about information. So,
Oh, well, here's the second thing. I mentioned this last
mhm,
time. South Park
yeah,
made him the butt of everything in the most recent episode. And Pisces, fantasy, illusion, the film, the
yeah,
TV show, and with the sun on his
and the
ascendant.
12th house as well. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
with the sun on his ascendant, he's in the spotlight. So sorry, guy. You brought
I'm
this
not.
on. And look at where Mars is. Mars in Sagittarius in his first house, and it's heading toward a square to his moon.
Yeah, and it was it just passed over his natal Neptune as well, kind of revealing more truths. And the full moon is gonna be. I mean, it's the full or no, the full moon is going to be opposing his Venus in Gemini about his relationships with others, in a big way. I think, particularly women, probably.
Probably. I would think also that so Saturn is sitting at 25 degrees Pisces until the end of the year. And so it's not
Mm,
going to be till next year that it actually fully moves over his moon. But
mm,
right now, as Mars continues to move through Sagittarius, it's going to keep pressuring for responsibility, accountability, his role for what happened with the military on the
mm,
waters,
mm.
Saturn in
Oh, yeah.
Pisces.
Hmm. Shall I look back and see when Saturn crossed over his moon the
Go
first
ahead.
two times?
Sure, let's do that.
Just a quick look. So for this middle time was September the 16th, and May 11th was the first time. So all of this has been brewing since the start of the year, but also a lot of it is related back to March because of the Venus and Mercury retrograde that went over this part of his chart during that first set of eclipses in March. There was multiple transits to his moon in that time, and this is the IC, his basis of security, the bottom of his chart. It's all coming up and out, shall we say? So many
So
transits.
I've just noticed one other thing. Let's
Mm,
look at his sixth house, okay? Habits, how he
mm,
runs his life on a daily basis.
mm-hmm.
Um, Uranus is it's currently well, you have this in May. It's
Yeah,
currently
I can go back to now.
yeah, because it's
Hmm.
currently trine. It's a sextile his
Oh,
moon, so there's stuff coming up.
mm-hmm.
And that's not going to go away until Uranus moves back into Gemini in
Mm,
April. Bottom line being, he's got more and more and more disruption coming. Disruption, things have involving technology, the
mm.
signal, but I would not be surprised if there isn't also a monetary
Oh,
component of this that comes out.
well, it's just been semi-sextile. I know it's a so-called minor aspect, but they're quite powerful aspects often, especially when it's highlighting his moon as well. So natally, he has his moon square Venus, and his Venus is retrograde. So he is, people born with Venus retrograde are the rarest category because Venus goes retrograde the least of any planet. And so Venus retrogrades hit these people in a major way. And the last one was in March. And we're heading to kind of the full moon of that Venus retrograde, if you like, coming up at 16 Capricorn. So that's very complicated, but all these cycles in many ways back to March that have been building over and over again, tied to Uranus as well in a Venus ruled sign. It's going to hit everything that hits his moon, hits his Venus as well. So women, money, relationships, communication in Gemini, it's all coming out, all of it.
The way you just phrased that, especially about the Venus retrograde squaring his moon, really drove home to me. He's acting like this hyper masculine perspective is, I mean, throwing women out of the military, not wanting to have anything to do with the Boy Scouts anymore because they have this more masculine view on things. There's what I'm getting at is there's a huge overcompensation streak in this. And I would imagine that Venus Moon square means he's always had massive insecurities about his relationships and his desirability and whatever, maybe his sexuality, even, who knows?
Yeah, but definitely his masculinity, I would say, for sure. Yeah. Especially being square a moon, a soft moon like a Pisces moon, and that reeks of confusion as well. So
that's a polite way of putting it.
Yeah.
You, sir, reek of confusion.
So watch this space. All of these transits are not going away for sure. The moons, the nodes will move backwards and keep going through this ninth house of truth and courts and things like that, and information coming out, the south node, and keep aspecting things. The nodes have yet to square his ascendant descendant exactly, which we can talk about because we have a time. So much more to come.
The one other thing I will point out, you mentioned that Mercury in Scorpio in his 12th house of hidden communications, secrets, crimes, maybe even backroom motivations, crossing over his Uranus. So I would say he trips himself up. Uranus and Scorpio in the 12th house, that's massive self-sabotage. But the water grand trine has been washing over that, and it's been pulling in his moon and the 3rd house of communications. And Jupiter has been in the 8th house of shared resources, secrets, also crime. So who knows what more will be coming out about all of this. But more will be coming out about all of this. More will be coming out about everything he's been up to, and March will be especially fertile for flotsam and jetsam showing up.
Yeah, and as always, these things are a huge process. Then next year, the transiting nodes move back into Leo and Aquarius and head towards a reverse nodal return, which is always a turnaround from 9.5 years ago. Well, just, if you really want to look at him, you can probably look at his history or see all these cycles hitting him over and over and over and over and over and over. Can I add one fun
Please.
just an extra body that I will then take out? Because I read an amazing book by Mark Jones about the planetary nodes, and this Uranus North Node has been very active for some time, and all planets have nodes, and they do act like the moon's nodes in many ways. but as a planetary node, the North Node is what we're moving towards, but it's also like the planet on steroids in many ways. And so the full moon was right on the Uranus North Node as well. So big hits, big shocks. I think his nervous system's he's all smiley, yeah, I know, but I think inside his nerves are a jangle because he kind of knows he's in trouble. Well, kind of, he knows.
That that
Mhm.
that Uranus node is exactly on the U.S. seventh house cusp, which is part allies and open
Mm,
enemies, and that is a sign of absolute instability for
mm.
his
Oh,
role.
yeah.
For his role.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll take it out again, but I just thought it was a fun thing to add in how he's being hit by so many things. So anyway, I have Uranus North Node conjunct my moon. So I find it really interesting how we kind of live our charts in many ways, either with integrity or without. And so, people sometimes have a same chart as somebody else, and people can live it with that growth and integrity mindset, and other people do not, shall we say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, anyway, we'll look at the other chart then. Darn. Oh no, that's his solar return. I don't want that. Bear with me. Just talk amongst yourselves for a minute. I did have his chart, but I'll put Pete back while I find it because I did have it, but it's disappeared down the drain. We don't need his solar return right now. Donald Trump natal. Here we go. Okay. Well, Shall we go back to the yesterday's full moon just
Sure.
to start? But everything's kind of just like hitting him and hitting him. So yeah, here's the full moon on the outside and the Donald's chart on the inside. A couple of things I'll mention first. Uranus has just squared his ascendant again, and is going back to 27 degrees of Taurus, so it won't quite square his Mars again. But surprises, shocks, aha moments, information coming out, shocks to his nervous system and his heart, shall we say? Leo rules the heart. So, and his son's in
Well,
Gemini, where we have this, yeah. Mm-hmm.
that's why you
Yeah,
have a
well,
preventative cardiac MRI.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's one of the things. But then we have the full moon, and it's not right on his natal Gemini Sagittarius opposition, but we have Mars on his moon on the full moon. Everything else is coming up to touch it. Juno, sacred contracts. The sun will come up and oppose it, and there's that Nessus, the revealer of toxins in all ways. I'm going to say maybe toxins within him, health wise as well, but also all kinds of things. This is, I don't want to say everything because I want you to say some
Well,
things too.
what do you make about the moon at 13 Gemini trining his series in
Mm.
the sixth house? Is this going to bring a lot of things to the fore about what he's
Um,
been up to with
yeah, I think it
skimming
is.
money off of stuff?
Skimming money off of stuff, but also how it's going to my mind, just reveal how basically unhealthy he is because it's the house of health too. He's going to show how he's never looked after his health really. I know he doesn't drink, but he eats McDonald's all the time, and all the things like that. And I think what's going on behind the scenes is going to, with the big full moon, things are coming out that's kind of revealing the truth of his health.
And I'd say this weekend is going to bring some more of that to the fore
Mm-hmm.
because Mercury down at the bottom of the chart in Scorpio is heading for the base of his chart, which is the like where he is rooted in the ground or not, and
Mm-hmm.
it is completing for the third time that water grand trine with Jupiter up there in the 11th house, highly noticeable, and Saturn in the 7th. Now, several things about this. Saturn has been sitting in a direct, like an open current with his Venus, his money planet, and his own Saturn for several weeks, and it's not going to move off that degree until the beginning of next year. And
Mm.
Saturn rules his house of health.
Yep.
Saturn rules Capricorn.
Yeah. And even if you use the house system that Kathy usually uses, it rules. It's the traditional ruler of Aquarius, so Saturn's involved then. But I'm going to add in his midheaven, which is his public visibility. It's all coming public because his midheaven is a point. It's an angle. It's an important point. So this water grand trine is bringing it all out into the public. And with it being Taurus on the midheaven, I've heard more talk about both his misdealings with finances and women than ever before, that have kind of simmered in the background. But then, of course, Jupiter has been going over this bit too. So
Hmm.
it's all coming to light. And then, Saturn will head next year into that eighth house of secrets. Neptune's already stationing direct right there. Um, and also not just secrets, but power games, manipulation. I always see it as the house of the mafia in many ways, and
Oh,
I've often referred to that person as a mafia don, basically. So,
I call him a mid-level mob boss, only if he
well,
was
yeah,
in upper status.
yeah. Well, he tries to be at least, but I kind of think they all are these autocrats. They work together, kind of thing, when it suits to kind of, yeah,
Which
whatever.
goes back to that
Mm,
transiting Saturn in his seventh house of allies
mm-hmm,
and open enemies. What governments are greasing all of this? What
mm-hmm,
government figures are trying to block this? And the big question with Pisces being duality is
mm,
Putin his friend or is Putin his enemy? Because there's some
mm-hmm,
speculation that uh, Putin's trying to get the U.S. out of NATO so that he can retake Alaska and get direct access to the minerals and the drilling in the Arctic. Not an
mm.
entirely crazy speculation, the way things are going these days.
I,
So,
I think he's only his friend when it suits. I think that's the same with all these people. They use each other and when it suits, right?
but with Saturn being in Pisces, there could
Mm.
be a two-faced nature to everything that's going on. Sometimes it's this way, sometimes it's that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And can I put the new moon on?
Oh, yeah, one more thing though before you
Yeah.
do that.
Mm-hmm.
With Mercury in Scorpio down at the bottom of his chart, a
Mm.
lot of the revelations, a lot of the truths are going to have to do with what's really been going on with his family, with his
Mm. Oh.
homes, with whatever's going on with Mar-a-Lago, with his marriage or handler or whatever you want to call her. Uh, that plays a role.
The
But
oh and
it's disintegrating. It's disintegrating.
oh
It's like
it's oh it is.
a roto rooter
Oh,
at the base of his existence.
and I think Michael Wolff was talking a bit about, shall we say, his marriage or handler as well, because everybody goes, oh, poor Melania, and I'm like, oh my God, he was talking about how much she is threatening to sue him for telling things that he knows from when he wrote the book with about Trump. So yeah, she's got a lot to hide as well, shall we say? So, so the new moon in Sagittarius new moon has, well, let's just draw some lines and we'll talk about it. It's basically trine his ascendant, which from, the cusp of the fifth house is perhaps something coming out about his children, but also about risks he's taken. It's the house of gambling. He had casinos, or who knows what's going to come out. But it's one of the biggest new moons I've seen for a while. It's on my ascendant, so I'm very keenly aware of it. And also that three-eye Atlas comet that's bringing some weird stuff into the ethers is kind of passing closest to Earth on this day. So it must be having some effect. And scientists say that it was first seen in the constellation Sagittarius A, Sagittarius, which is where the galactic center is, which is conjunct this new moon. New information coming to light, and even though this is a trine, an unbroken flow aspect, I don't think that they're always good for the person. I think it's gonna reveal things. It's also in an interesting aspect of adjustment to Uranus at the top of the chart. So this whole lunar cycle is just hitting him hugely. And there's Venus at 24. That 24 has been hit, but basically it's been opposing his sun. It's all part of it. Mercury is square the nodes on that as well.
There's going to be news about his marriage. There's going to be news about Melania. Melania is a mega Taurus, and I don't see her jeopardizing her financial position, but she's clearly not happy. And it could be, there's all kinds of talk about Melania body doubles, and I don't normally pay attention to body double talk, but I've seen some photos, especially recently, that no way in hell that they're her. Like the body shape is just wrong, everything. So who knows? There'll be something startling that will come out that will involve his marriage, his kids, his risk taking, and his I don't know exactly what.
I have no evidence of this, but I have no. I think she's unhappy, yes, but I think it was very much a marriage of kind of convenience. Like she came in through modeling on this Einstein visa. Here's all that stuff about immigration again. And, who knows whether they actually did the deed for Baron to come, or whether that was just done to make it look like a real marriage. I think she's unhappy because she sees it all falling apart, personally. I have no evidence of that.
So I wonder if the details of their agreement will come out.
Maybe.
There's all these jokes about, oh, she renegotiated her contract. Well, I would imagine there is one.
Yeah. And even if you look at the traditional marriage houses, all of this Pisces is in the house of significant relationships, but then the eighth house is often the house of a longer term, more deeply bonded relationship, whether it's deeply bonded through money or through intimacy or love. Neptune stationed direct right at the start of this house, and everything's kind of hitting all these areas of the chart again. And then obviously Saturn is still sitting trine his Venus for ages till next year.
So here's what I just thought of. All right, he's had 3 marriages. 7th house, first marriage. Go to the 9th house cusp for the second marriage. The only one who was an American citizen. Go to the 11th house cusp for the third marriage, which means the third marriage was for him and his public. Because it was ruled, it's Gemini.
Yeah.
So that's him and his public image, but also Gemini ruled by Mercury, which is currently moving across the base of his chart. Something's going to come out about this marriage. Something.
Well,
when Mercury completes the grand trine.
And the new moon conjunct Juno, sacred contracts, often called the marriage asteroid, with Juno on exactly on the cusp of the fifth house of joy, love affairs, children, but opposing that 11th house too. Cusp. I can't wait for it all to come out. Can't happen soon enough. Anything else you want to say? Or
Nope.
I think we've kind of shown a bit of a progression there as well. So, I know people go, when is this going to happen? But it just is coming. It's happening. Exactly how it will kind of all come out is hard. You can't really tell, but it's happening. So as always, do your self-care, look after you, live in joy, do fun things. It's party season, party hearty in Sagittarius. Don't sit watching the news all the time. I'm pretty much reached the point where I just look at all these headlines popping up and read the occasional article because there's so much going on. And I just sit there going, oh, there it's happening. There it's coming out. Yeah. What about you?
Well, I'm going to go to a Christmas pop-up. I'm going to
Mm,
see dear friends in a Christmas carol.
mm,
I'm a fairy godmother to someone who's playing Tiny Tim. She's
mm.
playing Tiny Tim. So there's some gender
Fun
bending.
things.
Yeah.
Ooh. Well, we're it's my husband's birthday this weekend, so tomorrow night we're meeting some friends, and so that's very Gemini as well. And then after my webinar for Kepler next Saturday, the 13th, we're driving down to Sedona in the car, Gemini, for a few days in Sedona, Arizona. So Sagittarius likes to be on the move too, so there you go. But it's all fun stuff, which is the point, really. So, so
Truly,
anyway,
truly.
yeah. Till next time. Wow, what a time we're in. Peace out.